हाँ, बस
Dr. Tahir, shall we start because we already started YouTube live? Okay, thank you. Just a minute, मैडम मैं मेरा बंद कर देता हूँ इसको. और Dr. Varsha, please go ahead.
A very good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to day 2 of our conference. It's wonderful to see you back, energized and ready for another day of insightful discussions and shared learning. My name is Dr. Varsha Pawar, Associate Professor, Anjuman Islam Kalsekar Technical Campus, and your host for this morning session. It's my great pleasure to introduce today's session chair, who will be guiding our proceedings. We are honored to have with us Dr. Rati, a dedicated medical educator from Universities Mohadiya Sumantara Uttara. Her career began in the medical education unit, where she developed a passion for designing effective and innovative curricula. This passion led her to earn a master's in medical education from Gadgamada University and to pursue research in key areas like self reflection and information literacy to improve how students learn. Her leadership and expertise are now formally recognized in her role as Secretary of the Undergraduate Medical Program, a position she has held since 2021, where she is instrumental in shaping the future of medical education at her institution. Her academic leadership and expertise are a valuable addition to our forum. Please join me in giving her a very warm virtual welcome. Welcome, ma'am. Today we continue our journey exploring the forefront of pedagogical innovation. We have another exciting lineup of presentations and discussions planned that will build on the fantastic foundation we established yesterday. I will now hand over the proceedings to our proficient session chair, Dr. Rati, who will introduce our today's guest. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Rati.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fasha. Good morning, our distinguished speakers and all participants. Welcome back to the second international conference on innovative teaching and extroverted learning. Okay, before I introduce our speaker today, let me remind all the participants, if you want to ask question or discuss it with the speakers, you can write down on the chat box or you can raise your hand. So you can talk directly to the speakers. Okay. With us has joined this the first speakers. I would like to introduce. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce Dr. Muhammad Tahir Ansari, Associate Professor at the School of Pharmacy, University of Nottingham, Malaysia, where he also served as the IQSC Director, steering the University Initiative for Accreditation and Quality Enhancement. Dr. Tahir is a trained pharmacist with rich academic and research experience, having worked with the reputed national and international institutions, including Nepal, India, Amity University Uttar Pradesh, and University Kuala Lumpur Royal College of Medicine, Perak, Malaysia. His research focuses on enhancing the bioavailability of drugs. He has also contributed to public health surveys on vaccination and immunization, and his pioneering work in cyclodextrin complexation aims to improve drug compatibility by reducing toxicity. Beyond research, Dr. Tahir has been actively engaged in pedagogical innovation, conducting numerous workshops on modern teaching learning practices to strengthen critical thinking and scientific inquiry among students. With these diverse experts spanning drug delivery, public health, quality assurance and innovative pedagogy. Dr. Tahir brings unique insight to today's session on reimagining outcome-based education, enhancing critical thinking, lifelong learning, and scientific inquiry skills in Generation Z learners. Let's warmly welcome Dr. Tahir. Now, I request Dr. Tahir to take charge of the screen. It's over to you, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Ati and Dr. Vasha. And thanks, I should begin with thanking the organizers for inviting me for this particular online conference. And I see exactly things are happening. So before I start, let me confirm if you can see my slides. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's visible.
Okay. Okay, I can start now. So a very good morning to all of you in India. Exactly, we here it's already 12. I guess India is around 9:30. And sorry, apologies for actually rescheduling the session because of the Friday prayers. Yeah. So my topic actually today is more holistic on the outcome-based education, and since exactly now the idea of having outcome-based education has been expanded into outcome-based education plus value-based education. And this happened because of the kind of consumers right now we classify them as Gen Z or Generation Z learners, which are very short-lived. They have this digitalization and all, so that actually allow us to reimagine how exactly OBE is supposed to begin. Just about myself, although Dr. Ati has introduced myself, I'm currently working as Associate Professor with University of Nottingham. I'm also working as the coordinator for the outcome-based education. I have been involved in designing curriculum, which is actually OBE-based, coming up with new pedagogies. And recently, I attained this Fellow of Higher Education Academy with UK, yeah. So this is a small inputs about me. So before I begin, we need to understand exactly how the landscape is changing. And at the moment, the kind of students, what exactly we have, they have a lot of challenges. So these students have a lot of challenges with the global economy. With that global economy, the things what exactly they have been imparted in the universities and colleges sometimes is not what exactly the market wants. So the values of degree is contestable. The content and the books, they are not very familiar with this because these are all digital generations, so they don't know exactly how to refer books. And then with the advent of AI, the knowledge attained is half done. So in that sense, is a bit serious when it comes to health courses such as pharmacy or medical sciences. So it's a bit risky. So we need to know exactly how and what to deliver. And now why and how to deliver exactly, it happens in phases. But if you see, there's the first revolution was somewhere in 1750. Then 1800 something was industrial revolution. Then during the World War phase, this third revolution happened until 1970, 1980. And then digitalization happened. So the digitalization was there around 2000 to 2020, just for 20 years. The others were already for like 50, 60 years. The existence was very long. So within a span of 20 years, things has changed rapidly. From digital worlds, now we are speaking of very personalized, the connection between humans and machines. So that is very short-lived. So even the revolution is gaining track at a very fast pace. So we need to actually gain track based on the industrial revolution for us to be relevant. So if I have to look into the revolution exactly, so what it is doing is impacting the jobs. So if you can see, these jobs are more of redundant now, and in future will be more redundant. Okay. So later exactly we'll see exactly which jobs would be more acceptable and how. Now, why we need to change in terms of teaching and education? If I have to cite example, this is the best example. Kodak was a very big company, and the thing is they did not do anything wrong, but they refused to change. So we should not be the Kodak moment now. I mean, anybody who refused to change and adopt OBE and VBE, probably that institute, the chances of survival will be a bit risky. Now, just to tell you what exactly is happening in UK, a lot of redundancy is happening. So this is in the real scenario. You can see these are all very, very prominent University of Aberdeen, Bradford, okay. Other universities like even Nottingham is going through some retention. Oxford, even Cambridge. So this is happening. And this is not only affecting those courses which are supposed to be non-scientific, even scientific programs, even pharmacy or chemistry. Recently, there was an announcement that the chemistry department is merged with pharmacy. So this is how exactly merging is happening. So that merging is making life difficult for people who are no more relevant to the department. So when I say no more relevant means those people have not adopted how teaching is supposed to be done to this generation. And that is actually changing, and the change is happening very rapidly. So it's very important for us to actually grasp those changes and adopt what exactly the world wants. Now, what is the scenario in India? The scenario in India, as far as I know, is there are 12 campuses which has already been approved. Now, these 12 campuses are high-rank universities. Okay, from Australian Deakin to UK universities, which includes Liverpool, and I think Southampton is already having a campus in Delhi. Now, these universities have a very robust way of teaching. Okay, the pedagogies has been built for years and years. Okay, they have taken years and years of time to build their research laboratories, their teaching laboratories, and that exactly has allowed them to be in the top bracket, the top ranking. So I can understand that universities in India are also coming into ranking bracket, but the sustainability is important. How good you are to sustain, okay? Because these universities have sustained for years and years within the good ranking brackets. So it's very important for us from the Indian side, from the Indian universities, to actually back up so that we can actually compete what the other universities in the world is offering, so that our graduates are relevant. Because of course the graduates who have a degree from UK with a better pedagogical training will be much highly absorbed as compared to those from the Indian universities which has not been exposed to those pedagogies. Why we should change again? Is the industry changing? The answer is yes. So we already see in India and in Malaysia that most of the SMEs are actually adopting IR 4.0. And now with the Internet of Things, IR 5.0. So things are changing very rapidly within a space of 10 years. The same thing with the digitalized India concept of the government. Probably India is also leaping into 4.0 and probably into 5.0. So when the industry leaps and the academician doesn't leap, then the problem is the connection or the gap between what exactly the industry wants and what exactly the academic industry is producing. So we need to be at par with what exactly the industry is thinking. And accordingly, we need to actually redesign the whole teaching curriculum, the pedagogies, the way exactly the things are imparted. Now, if we have to see in the job market, you can see the skills category. So this physical manual skill, those people or those person who are having physical and manual skills, the relevancy has been reduced a lot. Okay. So those who know exactly how to do physical things may not be very relevant in near future. But those who are going to have a lot of technological skills, plus social and emotional skills, these are the people who are going to gain traction. Okay. So this is very important, that the universities will be able to impart education in a sense that they are technically qualified. They have a high EQ, AQ, SQ, okay, and plus, of course, higher cognitive skills. So if anybody is having these, probably the chances of them surviving in this tough world is high. Let us see exactly what the industry wants. So now the industry doesn't want one person doing one thing. So they want somebody who can actually do multitasking. So if I have to take an example of a university, if the university is having a teacher, the teacher should have a very good communication skill. So that communication skill should be able to prioritize the task, okay? And once the tasks are prioritized, that should be changed into a writing skills. Once they have a writing skills, they should come up with policy papers. So very important for any academic staff to learn how to actually define or describe the policies. So if that happens, so we don't have to actually recruit somebody who's called as policy analysis. That can be done by the teachers itself. So this is how exactly the university is facing. Now, majority of the universities are trying to draft policy papers from the university instead of the government having somebody who can do the policy analysis. So things are changing very rapidly. It's very important for us to grasp those changes. Now let us see exactly, very specifically, what is happening in the Indian pharmaceutical market. So Indian pharmaceutical market is the biggest generic market. So yes, the generic market is booming. But what exactly is happening is the multinationals are losing to the Indian companies. So they're actually giving space. So because the multinational, they are into research. Okay. So those research-based units will not be able to survive because the money poured is very high, and exactly the drugs they will be producing is very high, the costly. So in that sense, the Indian companies are actually gaining market in terms of generic. So it is good because that will help people to secure more jobs. But at the same time, this is killing the research capacity. So if this continues to happen, so we will be a very good generic market, but we will not be innovator of the medicines. For us to have an innovator of medicines or innovator market, we need to churn people who know how to do this. At the moment, we are good churning people who know exactly how to do patent infringement or all. But we don't know exactly, I mean, the people are not trained so nicely that we can come up with our own drugs and vaccines. So it's very, very important for us to actually train the incoming force to have those qualities. Now, just to have a look exactly how the 21st century classroom will look like. So you cannot see any books, isn't it? You see, mostly is online. So these kids are very, very into digital worlds. Even if you can go and see your own kids, exactly, they would be having a lot of teaching materials on iPads or on their systems, on their phones. They would be contacting their friends on WhatsApp to actually exchange homeworks. And those days are gone when exactly we used to visit home within a community or maybe among our friends to actually get the homeworks done. So things are changing very rapidly. And if we are not able to adopt all those changes in our teaching pedagogies, it's going to be tough for the universities to survive. Now, this landscape is changing. So are the governments changing? The answer is yes. The government is changing. The government is coming up with new policies. If I'm not wrong, Indian government has come up with this National Education Policy 2020, which is banking a lot on the concept of artificial intelligence. Okay, the use of AI, the use of digital technologies to teach and actually to come up with the working force which are digitized. Now, I went through this 66-page document, and I guess the new syllabus from the PCI is addressing the concerns of NEP 2020. And I went through the syllabus actually. Yesterday, we had a meeting with some of the stakeholders. So I was called to give my comment on the AI syllabus which has been framed in. It's very good to have AI in the framework of the curriculum. The only thing is exactly, I feel a bit ambitious at the moment because the syllabus has not been placed properly in the way it is done. So I've actually given my comment exactly how that AI content is supposed to be done throughout 4 years of the BPharm program. But I really appreciate that if people would be able to learn and exactly impart those kind of contents, particularly the first two modules, the subjects which are AI and Python programming 1 and 2. It's some of the basic modules and very important for anybody who would want to be relevant to the market to know that one. So it's good that the NEP actually is pushing boundaries and asking people to know exactly what AI is and how exactly to train your students as well. So once the students, I mean, these kind of students come out into the market, then probably it's fantastic to have those. Now, why PCI came with this kind of syllabus? So I guess seed we already sowed. We have few papers saying that there's a big gap between what exactly the industry wants and what exactly the universities are churning up. So that actually gap is supposed to be reduced. And one of the way is actually to improve the curriculum, one, yes. And the second is how to implement those curriculum. So that's very important. Now, if we look into the current accreditation bodies, if I have to address FIP, so if you can go and check the website of FIP, what exactly FIP says is that the current pharmacists need not be having only the technical knowledge. So they should be able to have a leadership quality, of course, critical thinking, very, very important, innovation, communication skills. If you see ACPE, they bank on honesty, integrity, and professional behavior. If you see GPHC actually has forced us to adopt some teaching pedagogies, which is EPA, we call it as EPA, Entrustable Professional Activities. We do these activities to impart ethics. We also check the students if they are ready or fit to practice. So if they're not fit to practice, we will make them do again and again until the faculty is convinced that these students are fit to practice. So once they are fit to practice, then only they will be sent to the hospitals or the community pharmacy or the industry to go for their training or their internship. So we don't rely only on knowledge. Now, if you see NEP almost emulates what exactly the other parts of the world is doing. So NEP wants a holistic, complete 360-degree development of the students. And that development is supposed to be competency-based. Now, it's very important, these terms, because we don't know exactly how we are going to actually assess the competency. At the moment, if I'm not wrong, majority of the assessment is supposed to be a written examination. So written examination may actually help us to know the written cognitive skills, but we may not be able to know exactly the affective domains. We may not be able to know the social domains. We may not be able to know exactly the psychomotor domains. So it's very important that our curriculum is designed in such a way which gives the student a holistic uplift, what we call it as a 360-degree development of the student. And of course, that will come with a competency-based teaching and plus experiential learning. Now, if I have to speak in terms of MQA, which is Malaysian Qualification Agency, it also does the same. Now, MQA is actually coming out of the OBE framework and now is mixing VBE, that is value-based education, into an OBE. So whatever outcome we want to achieve, how relevant that outcome is in terms of industry. This is how exactly things are shaping. So this actually allows the university to have a sustainable development. This will allow the universities to have flexible learning pathways, vis-a-vis, for example, if the students wish to enter into the industry, then it's not necessary that they will go through the clinical pathways. So we need to actually come up with a pathways which will help them to enter into industry. If the students would like to enter into pharmacovigilance, maybe for bioavailability, bioequivalence studies, maybe for any hospital pathological conditions. So we need to have those pathways well built in our education system so that students can actually attain what exactly they want. And of course, AI readiness is one of the primary requirement. So if you see the global requirement, everything is digital now. And anything which is visible will be able to sustain. Okay. But of course, whenever we speak of AI, ethics comes into play. So we need to teach the students the ethical behavior. That's very, very important because we are dealing with life. Yeah. Now, who are these Gen Zs? So I guess everyone knows exactly those who were born after 2012 are supposed to be called as Gen Zs. But these Gen Zs are the one who are very different the way we are. Okay. We are not digital natives. They are. We still refer back to books. They don't. Okay. We still think logically. Okay. We are not very fast processors. For them, they need the feedback instant. Okay. They rely a lot on whatever they see. So our teaching also need to have like gamification and visualization. They are more socially aware, but the problem is the awareness exactly how true it is. So we don't have any parameters to check that that ability if the news coming in is true or not. So there where exactly the university will come into play. And these students are independent, yes, but as well as collaborative. So that opportunity, these kind of qualities are the opportunities where exactly we can shape up the students into a better human being tomorrow. But of course, these opportunities, these traits comes with certain challenges. So because of this digital trend, they have a very short attention span. I came with a paper which says the attention time in a classroom for Gen Z is 30 seconds or 60 seconds. That's very short. Okay, because they have the habit of looking at the reels. They are highly dependent on AI. So the chances of misusing AI is very, very high. They're happy to have bite-sized content. So we are trying to do that by chunking our lectures into different content so that they will be able to grasp it on their own time. Stress and mental health issues are one of the primary concerns. Yeah. They have no idea of how to write long answers. This is very challenging. So things are becoming difficult and difficult for, I think, the academicians to actually go through the answers. As far as the job security is concerned, they have a high anxiety and the concerns are very high. Why? Because the information available is overloaded. So they get information from that. So for them, what is good and what is bad, they feel, I mean, what exactly we feel that they are not able to decide. So we call it as decision fatigue. So these are the challenges which has to be addressed when exactly we teach these Gen Z students. So how to do that? So we need to come up with new teaching pedagogies, okay, so that the new Gen Z actually are well versed exactly what has been imparted to them. Now, these are two research papers which shows exactly how these Gen Zs are actually relevant, how much they know about the artificial intelligence, how much they are prepared for the pharmacy programs, how good the gaps between them and what exactly the industry wants. So these papers actually give a clear-cut idea that the students have an understanding of artificial intelligence. That's not a problem. They have a very good knowledge, but the problem is they have no idea how to practice that. So the practice and the implementation is an important. There exactly they need to be guided. So how we can support them, we have to do a very robust course design. So of course, outcome-based education is one of the best way of designing your whole teaching pedagogies. So when we say outcome-based education, it doesn't mean that it's only the syllabus. Okay, it is a holistic way of teaching. So outcome-based education will actually allow us to know what the student should be able to do after a subject has been finished, after an year has been finished, after a program has been finished, after the students have graduated 5 years. So this is very important, because if we are not able to measure all these activities, it would be difficult for us to get the gap between what exactly we are imparting and what exactly the students are actually, what kind of requirement the industry wants. So outcome allows us to do that. All the attributes of the outcome-based education are measurable. That's the wonderful thing to have an outcome-based education. And how it is exactly measurable? Because we always have a standard. We will always have a criteria. We'll always have a criteria. Okay. Now, all this is supposed to be embedded in the syllabus, and this syllabus is supposed to be realized with innovative pedagogies. Okay. Now, how those innovative pedagogies are supposed to be realized? If we can go back and see exactly what we do now. At the moment, our teaching is more teacher-centered. Okay. So we have an orderly classroom. The teacher will go and speak. It's a one-way traffic. The teacher will go and speak. We don't know exactly how the backbenchers are responding, how the front benchers are responding. We assume that most of the students have actually consumed whatever the teacher has imparted. But when exactly the examination comes into play, then we see exactly a big difference between some of the students. So this, we call it as teacher-centered, which was good when exactly we used to study. I don't say that this is a bad way of teaching, but our ability to grasp was much better as compared to these students. Now, these students are very short-lived in terms of their ability to grasp. So our teaching has to be student-centered. So if I have to go back to the curriculum, so I guess NEP says 1 credit is 15 hours. So now we need to go back and check exactly how much of time the student requires to understand that 15 hours of lecture. So it's very important. So it may be that some of the lectures which are supposed to have lower order thinking domain, the student may actually require 2 hours plus 1 hour of teaching, that total 3 hours. And some of the lectures which are supposed to be higher thinking domain, the student may require more. So we need to actually reclassify our content, our syllabus into lower order, middle order, and high order thinking, so that it actually addresses what the student needs or how much time the student needs. Okay. One way of doing it is actually coming up with innovative pedagogies. I won't be able to describe all, but one of them is the problem-based learning that is quite effective. We have designed one more, we call it as Bowtie Workshop. That's one of the fantastic way of teaching students, because we tend to mingle the group for the same content again and again. So we keep on doing that. So Bowtie Workshop, problem-based learning, project-based learning, capstone project. So we have designed few methods so that we may address this disparity among students, particularly for the subject knowledge. Now, what outcome-based education does is it will allow us to classify, okay, what kind of techniques are used to improve the psychomotor skills, what kind of techniques or teachings can be used to improve the cognitive skills, and what kind of attributes are required to improve the affective domains. Apart from this, we have social determinants as well that will actually include the value-based education. So this is how exactly OBE plus VBE is shaping up the curriculum now. So whenever we want to design an OBE-based curriculum or teaching method, the first and foremost is we need to identify what should be our outcome. Okay. So we will write those outcomes, then come back and actually start cascading down those outcomes into different contents. For example, if you have pharmacy, so the outcome may be like the students become innovative pharmacists. So we need to actually catch hold of that innovative frame and come back and see exactly which syllabus content or what type of pedagogies are going to instill that innovative kind of attributes in the students. So we need to design this one. Now, how to know exactly what should be an outcome? So the best is to do a survey. To do a survey with the stakeholders. So our stakeholders would be the community pharmacy, the industrial pharmacy, the hospital pharmacy, okay? So, or the pharmacovigilance department, the clinical trials department. So all these are the stakeholders. So we need to actually go and ask exactly what they are doing so that we'll be able to come and write our outcomes based on the survey done. Once the survey is done, we'll come back and exactly start deciding what are the various teaching pedagogies, assessment methods, what are the learning experience, measure them again and see if we have achieved the outcome. If we haven't achieved the outcome, we will be able to address the gap. So we have to do this every 6 months or 1 year at least, so that we'll be able to know exactly, is our syllabus still relevant to what exactly the industry wanted a year before? If we are able to achieve, then we can continue. If we think that no, we are not able to achieve what exactly the industry wants, so we have to go back and check what other things we can do so that we are still relevant to the industry. So in that sense, what we do is we design the syllabus in a sense that we get the survey done and stick that survey with our vision and mission. So we define this vision very, very precise. These vision and mission are actually cascaded down into the program objectives. Now, these program objectives are supposed to be measured after the students have graduated. How long? 5 years. So after the students have graduated 5 years, we will be able to know exactly if the program is still relevant. Now, this is supposed to be cascaded down to program learning outcomes. So this program learning outcomes is measured after the students graduates, okay, immediately after the graduation, so that we can see, are we able to attain our vision and mission or not? And to achieve this, we will cascade down to course learning outcome, a subject learning outcome, then to lesson learning outcome, then to topic learning outcome. So these are exactly, it is cascaded down to the last man standing. And we will be able to actually assess those, see exactly have we achieved. So there are methods exactly how do we do the assessment or the OBE attainment. Once we are able to classify that we have achieved the CLO, so we'll map that CLO with the PLO. So this PLO, once it is achieved, we'll go back and map with the program objectives. This will be mapped with the vision, and this will be mapped with the, if we have a country's objectives. So then we're actually addressing the country objective, and we would be happy to say that we have contributed to the society, and whatever students we are imparting to the society are highly relevant to what the industry needs. Okay, so the program educational objective are supposed to be achieved after 3 to 5 years. So if I have to say what are the good attributes of the program educational objectives, it should be broad, smart. When we say smart, it should be specific, measurable, achievable, okay? And this should be able to address what the stakeholders of the program requires, and should be able to address the mission and the vision statement of the institution, or in that matter, whatever the council wants or whatever the industry wants. Now, I've just gone through and tried to actually draft some of the good PO statements. So if you can see that for a BPharm program, it's good that we could churn out students who have knowledge as well as technical proficiency. In what standards? Either they can work locally, of course, as well as internationally. Now we need to actually address these two. Okay, how we are going to assure that the students will be able to work locally and internationally. So this should be measurable. Now the second attributes what the student should be having is communication skills, aptitude as a team player, and exceptional leadership qualities. Again, we need to measure exactly how we are going to ascertain that the students will have a better communication skills and leadership qualities. Third, very important, they should be able to solve critical problems, that is critical thinking skills. And I guess most of the universities would like to have students who are businessmen, who would like to have their own business so that they can impart jobs to other students as well. So these are, I guess, are good attributes, what exactly we are trying to do at our university. I've trimmed down, I cannot show the same POs, what we have, so I've tamed down those, yeah. Now, all these are supposed to be attained by building up our program learning outcomes. So for me, if I have to build up a program learning outcomes, I follow two principal pathways. One, we call it as based on Bloom's understanding. The other is called as Boyle's or Miller's pyramids understanding. So if personally, I like Bloom's taxonomy because it have a better hierarchy. So Bloom's taxonomy allows us to actually modify the syllabus into 6 learning domains. So these learning domains, from the bottom, if you see, it increases, the level of difficulty increases from just recalling to actually creating. So we need to ensure that our curriculum will be able to address. Now what we do is, for year 1, we would like to have teaching in which the students will be able to remember, understand, and apply. As the year progresses, we would like the students to actually answer in such a way that they should be able to analyze, evaluate, and create some new things. They should be able to make some big decisions. So this is how exactly we actually design the syllabus so that we can increase the learning difficulty. If you go back and see Miller's pyramid, this also is classified as knows how, shows how, and does. So whenever we say does, it is the highest learning difficulty. We should be able to, the student should be able to demonstrate, okay, they would be able to dispense for cancer patients, for hypertensive patients, they should be able to know exactly how to answer the areas and all. So this is how exactly we train students from year 1 to year 2 so that their level of difficulty and understanding keeps on increasing, so that they would be able to actually go and do what exactly they're supposed to do. So this is one way of writing the PLOs. So you can write like PLOs and then map to POs and try to classify which PLOs is going to address which domain. So when we see cognitive, mostly cognitive is understanding. So this can be lower order understanding and high order understanding. But there are some certain domains, certain PLOs, we should always assess the psychomotor skills, the cognitive skills, the affective domains, as well as now the new is the social domain. So this is how we are trying to build up writing PLOs, mapping it with what taxonomy it is, and then actually coming back and measuring our PEOs and the vision and mission. So for me, I'd be very happy if any pharmacy program would be able to actually come up with students who have good knowledge, understanding of the subject in terms of their cognitive skills, practical skills, interpersonal skills, and communication skills. So these are two different. Interpersonal is within the department, and communication is interpersonal, multidisciplinary. So the student should have digital skills. Those digital skills should be able to help them in calculation, critical thinking, leadership. And so if any program is able to address all these things, probably that would be a very much good program to churn out students what exactly the industry wants. Now, I'm just taking an example of the current human anatomy physiology, and these are the learning outcomes. So if you see the learning outcomes are written here, so this is a theory subject. And yeah, okay, so these are the learning outcomes. So if you can see, these learning outcomes is having the basic tenets of a learning outcome, because we can see the verbs here. So these verbs are all Bloom's verbs. Then they have a content, okay, a gross morphology, structure, and function of various organisms. The standard is human body. So this is a nicely written statement. But the problem comes when exactly we are going to measure what kind of level of difficulty is supposed to be addressed here. What kind of level of difficulty, because all these verbs will describe different level of difficulty. Now, if you see 4 and 5, it says perform. So perform is supposed to be a practical task, okay? But here is a theory. So I guess this is a mismatched outcome, which may not be able to realize here. Probably it will be realized in the practical subject. So whenever we design the learning outcome, we need to be very sure exactly what we are writing and how we are writing, so that it is achievable, measurable, and smart. So this is the same thing. The other thing which exactly I would like to highlight is the way assessment is done. So these are the contents of year 1, I guess. and these are the internal assessment. So everything is supposed to be written. Okay. We do have practical skills, but again, these are the only two domains. We have no idea exactly what are the social skills, communication skills, interpersonal skills, digital skills, AI skills. I guess for me, it will be difficult to measure if the student has attained the communication skills, the social skills, the technological skills, even the practical skills, what level exactly? Is it lower order psychomotor skills or higher order psychomotor skills? Because, for example, we do have an assessment skills called as OSCE. So OSCE also we design in low order psychomotor skills and high order psychomotor skills. So with this assessment, it is difficult. So if we have this assessment, it will be difficult for us to attain all those PLOs, what exactly we want based on the NP requirements. Okay, so just to show you that when we have this PLO, all things, we need to finally map with the course so that we will know exactly what is the outcome. Now, Malaysia is coming up with this value-based education. Why? Because of the ESD things, education, which is supposed to be sustainable development, is very important for the university also to have sustainability. I believe most of the universities are working to attain sustainability. Most of the university at the moment depend on fees. So I guess only depending on fees is not a sustainable solution. So the university has to think of sustainable development and sustainable existence. So in that sense, this value-based education will allow the university also to have something which is sustainable. Yeah. So I'll just give you an example how we are doing this VB and ESD. So we have this, not the module, but one of the module content is industrial pharmacy. So what we ask the student is to design a green manufacturing process so that they will be able to reduce the solvent waste, okay, by 30%. So this is the measurable content. So they need to design a method by which the solvent waste is reduced by 30%. Okay. Now, how we are going to assess? Of course, we are going to go through their project report, which is through their presentation, and a reflection report. What exactly they have learned, okay, and what would be their future, okay. And these we ask the student to align with the SDG goals, which is the SDG number 12. So what is happening is we are able to instill critical thinking among the students, sustainability mindset, as well as professional ethics, because they are supposed to come up with a green manufacturing process. So indirectly also helping the climatic conditions. So this is how exactly we are trying to train the students to have value-based education. Now, finally, it's very important for any OBE curriculum to have a CQI, which is continuous quality assessment. And one of the important component of CQI is the constructive alignment. So when we say constructive alignment, it is very important that the assessment should be aligned with the teaching learning activities. So vis-a-vis, if I have a problem-based learning, I cannot do a written examination. Okay. If I have a journal club, I cannot do a written examination. So this is how exactly the alignment is supposed to be done. And this teaching and learning activities should be supplementing the course learning outcome. So if the course learning outcome is supposed to measure affective domains, so I cannot have didactic teaching. Okay. This course learning outcome should be supplementing the PLOs, and this PLO should be supplementing the PEOs, and finally the vision mission and the vision mission. So this is how exactly the constructive alignment works. So very, very important for us to know what we are measuring, how we are measuring, how much we are measuring, and what is the outcome. So once we do it, this is the first slide, what exactly we show. So we go through the whole cycle again, we say closing the loop. So every year we close the loop. Every year we close the loop. And you can see these are the stakeholders from where exactly we gather our survey every year so that our program educational objectives are relevant to the industry, because we want our program to be relevant to the industry. Otherwise, if we don't teach what exactly the industry wants, our graduates are not at all marketable. Yeah. So that's all. If you have any questions, you can please scan and actually then we can actually answer. Yeah. Or maybe you can ask in the chat box. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fahel, for your insightful presentation. So right now we are in the question and answer session. For all the participants, if you have a question, you can write down on the text box, or you can raise your hand to talk directly to the speaker. Okay. Maybe I want to ask you a question before the participant asks you. I'm interested in how you assess the outcomes of your course and program. So my question is, if student didn't achieve the outcomes or the objective of your course, so what will you do, or what intervention you give to the student?
Yeah, so first of all, exactly what we do is we do a threshold. Okay, so it is of course not possible for us to achieve 100% of the outcome.
Mhm.
So we have a threshold. So my suggestion as a QA chair exactly is always to start with a lower threshold. Okay, so whenever the outcome-based education is implemented, I ask the programs to have a lower threshold. At least 50% of the students should be able to achieve outcomes. So when we are able to do 50%, then increase to 60, then increase to 70, then we increase to 80. But we will not be able to achieve 100% of the outcome. So if the student is not able to achieve a particular outcome, we actually go and counsel the students. Okay. And because we are tracking every semester, okay, so we'll counsel the students actually, and then we have a tutor session exactly, and the tutor session and the subject expert will actually try to come up, try to find exactly what is the issues. Then we actually add all those points in our feedback, exactly what are the issues which the students are facing in achieving those outcomes, so that in the next year, similar students, students will not be having those issues. Okay, but if the student has not achieved, probably we try to counsel and advise exactly what they can do. So if the student wants to actually reappear and test once again, of course he can do. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tahir. Any question from participant? Okay, if not, I want to ask one more question. Yeah, I look at the comment from the Dr. Farouk and Dr. Abu Sofyan related to the workload of the student. Yeah, we know that in this digital era, we know that many skills that are expected to student have to have or to possess. So it might burden their curriculum and then their self. So how we have to balance the workload of between the academic and non-academic. Do you have any student support system, and how you conduct the support?
Yeah, so for us, since we are a British university, so the British university works, I guess even the Australia and Indonesia, even Malaysia works on the work-life balance. So we do have this equity EDI, okay, and in place exactly, which will look into the work-life balance, not only for the students, but as well as academic load. And for us, truly, I should say that we have designed a very nice workload plan. Okay. And the workload plan doesn't include only the teaching and learning activities. We include whatever we do. So whatever we do, we call other activities as citizenship points. So we include everything into the workload plan, so that even though some of the staff will have low learning, teaching and learning activities, may have a higher research component. Some may have a low learning as well as research component, but will have higher administrative domain. So we include all into existence. So that is a part of our OBE curriculum actually. So it's not only the student who are supposed to be included, but even the staff workload is supposed to be answered. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question from the chat box from Dr. Anuba. In India, students have very long contact time, almost all 6 days, from 9 to 6, hardly any time for their self-learning. What should be the change to be brought in this space?
I guess exactly the issue is exactly at the moment in India we are not measuring uh, how exactly the teaching is done. So even though if we say a program is supposed to be of 15 credits, so we are not actually adapting that 15 credits into the timetable. So the moment we actually start adapting that 15 credits into the timetable, probably things would be much better. So most of the things will go back to the university structure, exactly how they think. For us, we are very concerned with the credit hours. So if the credit hours is 15, we don't increase at all. So we are very concerned with that. And our teaching is not only didactic, okay, a classroom teaching. We have a lot of teaching which are supposed to be drop-in session, which are supposed to be self-directed learning, which are supposed to be case-based teaching. So in this exactly the faculty is a bit free because they don't have to go and prepare lectures and actually go and do lectures. So there exactly we save a lot of time for our self-learning or maybe some research. So I guess we need to come up with a plan to redesign our teaching. Everything should not be taught in the class. There should be, because this is Gen Z, multitasking. Yeah, I agree with Dr. Sufyan, multitasking. So we have to have these various teaching pedagogies so the student adapts it. Yeah. Mandatory contact time. So I guess the authority should come up with a WLP, workload plan. If we have designed a very nice workload plan, which is really credible, and I guess most of the authorities would be happy with what exactly we have. So if anybody wants, I can share that. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Farouk, raise your hand to, yeah, please, Dr. Farouk, to directly.
Dr. Zahid,
Yes,
thank
yeah.
you for the very insightful talk. I have a question on, I mean, you did talk about Gen Z and their attention time and all those stuff, and of course that make a lot of difference. But the new upcoming challenge, what we can foresee is Generation Alpha, and they're probably the next one who will be entering the university, coming with the new challenges. They are very equipped with the AI and whatever you talk about, and they are not interested to go to the university and campuses, even for the professional courses. And I think that's the where Australia also trying to move, and I'm sure that's the same challenge others gonna face. So what do you think? What universities and educational institution as well as the authorities should be doing in order to tackle that kind of challenge?
For us exactly, the whole issue boils down to the schools actually. So things are supposed to be started at the school level. So if the school would be able to, because we are already collaborating with few schools in Malaysia so that we are able to address these challenges. So in a sense that the Gen Alpha who are more aggressive actually, in a sense that they don't want to come to the university at all. So they are into more like MOOCs and all. So we are talking to the schools how to address these. We are trying to engage those students right from the word goes to have those, kind of inclusiveness in them, so that they can come and address those things, but still very challenging. We also don't know exactly. We're trying to work with the schools so that the student have this ability to walk into the campuses. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I don't have a very perfect answer to that. Yeah.
One question from me, my side, Dr. Mohammed Tahir. I think you are into OB and this accreditation process. So generally, it is very difficult to measure the lifelong learning, attainment of the lifelong learning. So according to you, what measurable indicator best capture the lifelong learning in OB model?
No, it's not difficult actually. It's we do measure exactly lifelong learning skills. So I mean we do have parameters. So lifelong learning skill, you can measure anywhere. Example, if this student enters into the industry, okay.
Yeah.
So in the industry, they are supposed to learn skills which are supposed to be with them for lifelong, isn't it?
Mhm.
So we actually, as a perceptor in the industry and as an academician, we actually do visit them. And we
Okay.
go and measure exactly what they are doing. For example, the dispensing practice. Okay, so we'll observe then exactly how the dispensing is done. For example, in terms of timing, in terms of their skills of engaging with the patients, the skills of engaging with the parents of patients. Yeah, so this is how exactly we measure. We don't find
Yeah.
any difficulty in measuring all doses so far. We are doing it quite effectively. Yeah.
Yeah. We have seen the two kind of students, especially there are one category of the student who are keep on learning, and along with their daily routine syllabus, they also do some MOOC courses as well. So the completion of those MOOC courses by the students, which is related to their employable skill, can also be considered as one of the indicator of lifelong learning.
Can be, but I'm not very happy with what exactly MOOC does, because see, the problem with the current is, I mean, any online programming, the chances of the students remembering long is very low. They
Yeah.
won't be able to actually recall those things for a longer period of time. So I guess it's important for the students to actually come and do that practically. So anything which is done practically in a real scenario, the chances of them actually recalling them is high. So this is what exactly we classify as lifelong learning instead of just teaching. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
There are some
Rati, I
questions
think
from
there are many questions still coming in. I
yeah
think session was very interesting, but we are running short of time. So I think
yeah
you can conclude it.
yeah. We are sorry for the participant that have been asked question in the chat box. Maybe you can later ask by mail or contact the committee. Yeah. Yeah. We appreciate your contribution to this conference, Dr. Tahir, for your time and your experience and sharing. We give the committee provide the certificates for Dr. Tahir, and then we please for give applause to Dr. Tahir. Thank you, Doctor, for your time. Now we can move to the next speakers.
Thank you, Dr. Tahir, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks all.
Welcome. Welcome.
Okay. Okay, Prof. Dianta.
Hello, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Okay, let me introduce our second speaker for this session. It is my honor to introduce Prof. Dianta Sumantri, a distinguished leader in field of medical education. She is a professor at the Faculty of Medicine, Universitas Indonesia, where she has made remarkable contribution to advancing teaching and learning in health profession education. Professor Sumantri earned her medical degree from Universitas Indonesia, a master's in medical education from the University of Dundee, and a PhD in medical education from the University of Melbourne. Her global recognition includes being selected as a 2023 Karolinska Institute Prize for Research in Medical Education Fellow. She has previously led the master program in medical education at Universitas Indonesia and was instrumental in strengthening multi and interprofessional education within the University Health Science Cluster. In 2025, she assumed the role of Director of Digital Education Development at Universitas Indonesia, steering innovative approaches to digital learning. Her research spans student assessment, reflection and feedback, interprofessional education and collaborative practice, and the development of professionalism. With over 70 peer-reviewed publications to her credit, she is also a respected peer reviewer and editorial board member for leading journals in the field. Today, we are privileged to have her with us to share her expertise in interprofessional education and collaboration, a topic that lies at the heart of shaping effective and compassionate healthcare teams. Please join with me in warmly welcoming Professor Dianta Sumantri. It's over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ati, for the very kind introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to be a part of this distinguished conference. Would like to thank Dr. Abu Sufyan for the kind invitation. So today I would like
Welcome, Dr. Dayanti, to this important session. Thank you for
thank you.
joining us.
So my topic will be about how we can transform healthcare through interprofessional education and collaborative practice. Just to get on the lighter side of this talk, I would like to draw your attention to this particular picture. This picture represents the animation that maybe some of us are familiar with from the Marvel comics, where we can see that where each superhero has their own power. But then when they are encountered with a very powerful enemy, when they are working in silo trying to defeat the enemy, they fail, so that they need to assemble as a team to be able to defeat the ultimate enemy. So this is just to illustrate that even though this is just a comic and animation, they represent a very important lesson or lessons learned, where teamwork is very much valued and very much important, even though all of the members of the team each have their own superpower. Another illustration from the president of Pixar, where they intentionally create an open space office. In the office building, they intentionally create an open space, a big empty space in part of the building, where they expect employee to be able to interact with each other. So this company acknowledged the importance of teamwork and the importance of interaction between people. So today I would like to talk about the importance of collaborative practice, the impact on healthcare outcomes, and move on to the details of the interprofessional education. Hopefully at the end of the presentation, we can agree on the features and how to mitigate the challenges and risks of implementing the interprofessional education in our own institute. So let's see first the importance of collaborative practice. So I believe we agree on the importance of collaboration and teamwork everywhere, in any field, in any profession, in any jobs that we have to do. We are always reminded of how important teamwork and collaboration is. But let's look at collaborative practice in particular in healthcare service. What do we know about this approach of working in healthcare service? So looking back at the history, there is a quite seminal event, if I can say so, which stimulate further discussion and further thinking about interprofessional education, where in Britain at that time, between 1991 and 1995, it turned out to have there are some cases which spark investigation, where more children undergoing heart surgery at Bristol Royal Infirmary died, where they should have been survived if they treated elsewhere. So the inquiry led to the understanding of a very flawed system of care within the teamwork between the professionals. So based on this inquiry, they recommend that the importance of exposing our students to shared education and training. So based on the inquiry of the report or the excess deaths that happened during in the Bristol Royal Infirmary, they recommended the importance of exposing our students to shared education and training. So this has gone back quite a while. Collaborative practice, in definition, is a situation where multiple health workers from different professional background provide comprehensive service by working with patients, their families, carers, and communities to deliver the highest quality of care across setting. So this concept is not new, although if we look at the studies and reports, the interprofessional education and the collaborative practice in healthcare may not be as strong as it should have been, although we see the importance of collaborative practice. So how impactful is collaborative practice? This study was 5 years ago, but we started to see how the impact of collaborative practice is on healthcare outcomes. For example, the improved management of chronic diseases, the improved specialty care outcomes, as you can see on the right-hand side of the presentation. For example, there is the reduced direct cost of care, for example, during a total hip arthroplasty or total knee arthroplasty, for example, teamwork or collaborative practice has reduced the direct cost of care for each of the case, for example. They improve prescribing practice and patient adherence, decreasing the number of falling incident. So you see here the new falls decline on average 31% across the facilities in the project. So we see variety, we see variation in terms of the outcome or the impact of collaborative practice. Overall, it increased patient satisfaction. How about the more recent data? This is coming from the study in 2024, where we see that although there are still negative results or non-significant or no impact at all, but we see the trend is quite positive. So there are increase or improvement in terms of the quality of the healthcare and the outcome of the healthcare service. We see here improved patient satisfaction, decreasing mortality, reducing the readmission rate, improving the medication adherence, and reducing the medication error. So overall, we can see how important the collaborative practice is to patient safety and the improvement of the quality of the healthcare service provided by all of the healthcare professionals. So if we can agree that healthcare collaborative practice in healthcare is important, we agree that to be able to make healthcare professionals to be able to collaborate, we have to expose them to shared training and education as recommended by the Bristol Inquiry. And we agree on the positive impacts of collaborative practice in healthcare. Hopefully at this point, we agree the importance of interprofessional education or a structured program, whatever you want to call it, a structured program to expose our students to interprofessional education experience. In terms of the terminologies or definition, interprofessional education is defined as a situation or education program where two or more professions learn about, from, and with each other to enable effective collaboration and improve health outcomes. So if we look back at the recommendation from the Bristol Inquiry, they recommended that students need to be exposed to shared education. But this definition by the WHO has really highlighted the importance of not only exposing them to the shared education, but really explicitly asking students to learn about or from and with other professions. So they're not only sitting in one class together, listening to the same lecture or working on the same task, but they really learn about what other professions are, what are the roles of other professions, what are the contributions of other professions in terms of the patient management, for example. So they really learn about, from, and with each other to enable the effective collaboration. Unfortunately, teamwork skills cannot be taken for granted because it is a competency. So it consists of the cognitive skills and attitude. And based on the contact theory from Alport, it is also highlighted and emphasized that teaching teamwork skills cannot be fulfilled by only exposing them to a certain, working together experience, but they need to be explicitly put in the curriculum. They need to be trained. They need to be discussed in a class or other learning activity, and they need to be assessed as well. Because within the teamwork skills or competencies, there are the cognitive skills and attitude domains. So it's really important for us to create the interprofessional education program to allow students to be able to fulfill all of these competencies. Because, definitely for each profession in healthcare, the dominant competencies would be the individual professional competencies. I, as doctor, for example, would have many individual professional competencies, but I, as doctor, would also have common competencies that shared with other healthcare professionals as well. For example, competencies of communication, or the ethical practice, and etc. And in addition to the two competencies that perhaps are already very familiar to all of us, there is one that is called IP, collaborative competencies, or interprofessional collaborative competencies. And more than 10 years ago, 15 years now, WHO has highlighted that it is no longer enough for workers to be professional, but they need to also be interprofessional. So I guess it is quite essential, if I can say so, for every medical and healthcare health professions education now to think about how they can incorporate the interprofessional education program or interprofessional curriculum into their existing curriculum to be able to ensure that graduates can attain not only the professional competencies, but also the interprofessional collaborative competencies. Luckily, we are very much helped by all of the committees out there that dealing with interprofessional education, where they have made for us a very detailed competencies of the IP collaborative competencies. So we don't have to think about, for ourselves, what should be our institution interprofessional collaboration competencies, but we can adopt the existing interprofessional collaborative competencies, and then we can add our local excellence, for example. But this is one of the recent framework for the IPE core competencies, which consists of values and ethics, roles and responsibilities, communication, and also teamwork. So from each of the domain, we can also deconstruct the domain of the IPE competencies and then work with students how we can equip them with all of these competencies. They have to learn about the roles and responsibilities of other healthcare professionals. They learn how to communicate with other healthcare professionals in different contexts, in different cases, in different settings, for example. They need to be able to manage conflict that occur during the team work, and they also have to think about what kind of leadership is necessary to lead this team, for example. And to make things a bit more complicated, many studies have shown now that it is not only enough for a professional to have the interprofessional competencies. Of course, it is very good. It's very nice if every healthcare professionals can have the IP collaborative competencies. But now, more and more studies show how important it is for us to have that identity as an interprofessional. So you may be familiar with studies or topics regarding interprofessional professional identity formation of medical students or medical doctors, for example. So now more studies are showing how it is very important for us to nurture the identity of interprofessional, meaning that we are not only have the identity as doctors. For example, I was trained as medical doctor, hence I had the identity. I'm a medical doctor and I have all of these competencies as a medical doctor. But now it's quite important for me to be able to feel or to have the identity that I'm a part of the team member. I am an interprofessional doctor, so that I can not only confidently contribute, confidently have my competency, but I can also contribute to the team based on what I have as a professional doctor. So there is this identity as part of the team member. So there is this awareness of and the need to work in team, the awareness that I wouldn't be able to give my patient the best of care if I'm not working in a team. So that's the interprofessional identity, which is in this study, the author showed how it is a cyclical process of, a sequential process of developing your interprofessional identity on top of your professional identity. So as an interprofessional, you need to have this confidence and competence of your own professional competencies. But on top of that, you also have to nurture what is called interprofessional identity, so that you can be a professional doctor, but at the same time, you will be able to contribute as a good team member, a professional team member, which underlies the interprofessional identity. So a little bit of experience in our university, in Universitas Indonesia. So we have been implementing IPE for 12 years now. We have the IPE spread into two stages. The first stage is the second semester. So we have the preclinical IPE, that's what we call it. And we have the clinical IPE. So in the preclinical IPE, because they are still in the second semester, they don't have the opportunity to meet with patients yet, but they have the opportunity to go to the community, to the society, the certain society in certain villages, or they get to go to the community health center to see some communities, specific communities, for example. They learn to develop a project related to the community base, and they also learn about the basic concepts of interprofessional collaboration, interprofessional collaborative practice through collaborative learning, team-based learning, and case-based learning as well. So basically, on the right-hand side, you can see the topic that are discussed during the module, and it is very much aligned with the existing framework of IPE all over the world. So we talk about conflict management, we discuss about leadership and interprofessional communication. We talk about the roles of each profession in the healthcare service, and we also ask students to reflect. So maybe they have this prejudice, they have this stereotype towards other professions, and this is the time where they can reflect towards their stereotype and prejudice and try to think through whether the stereotype is right, how can they minimize the stereotype or the prejudice they have so that they can work together better. And this is the kind of assessment that we use as part of the IPE module for the preclinical stage IPE. As for the IP and the clinical clerkship, because they are at the last semester of their study before they graduating as doctors or as nurses, we put them into the hospitals, the teaching hospitals, where they will work together as a team, interprofessional team, where they will together as a team develop an integrated care plan for a certain clinical case which requires interprofessional collaboration. Aside from that, they will also shadow an interprofessional team or a certain unit of service in the teaching hospital, for example, the emergency unit, the tuberculosis care unit, and etc. And they will interview the team members in that particular unit. So overall, we expect them to reflect on their experience of shadowing, interviewing, and also the experience of working together in creating an integrated care plan. Hopefully, by the end of the IPE, they not only master the competencies to be able to work together as a team, but also starting to internalize the value and identity as an interprofessional. We've been doing IPE for 12 years, and we've always come across certain challenges. That is the definite thing, I think. So I think, but I hope we don't deter you from implementing IP, because I still believe the importance of IP. But this particular paper back in 2023 helped us to sort of list the features of IP. So what are the things or the characteristic or the support that we need to be able to provide to enable a good IP intervention or IP implementation? So basically, for IPE to work, we need a realistic and authentic clinical case. So if students cannot go to the hospital, for example, they need to be able to feel the IPE process, for example, in the skills laboratory, using an authentic as possible clinical cases. It needs to be challenging and pertinent to all involved professions. Sometimes we create cases where not all healthcare professions will be involved. In reality, that's the case. Not all healthcare professions would be involved in certain cases, but for the learning process, I think it's important to ensure that our cases works for everyone and relevant for everybody, so that they will be able to discuss, they will be stimulated to discuss that case. Otherwise, some students from certain health professions will be left out in the discussion, and that would not be very good for the dynamic of the group. So all learners needs to be given the opportunity to solve problems. So that's why it's important for us to make a clinically challenging case which is relevant to all involved professions. And we have to provide them with opportunities to discuss the scenarios, to try to create the solution for the problem. So in our IPE course, we can say we don't have any more lectures. So all of the activities would be a group discussion or a group project within the community, or going directly to the patients. And one of the very important lesson learned for me personally and for the team in Universitas Indonesia, who are involved in the IPE program, is the importance of the tutors or the supervisors. So the teachers hold very, very important role in IPE program. And because can say for sure that perhaps my generation or our generation now is not very trained in IPE or never had any training in IPE. So it's much more challenging for us to be able to become a good supervisor or tutor for IPE. Whereas it's very important for the tutors to be able to create a safe environment, as a very safe, in terms of psychological safety. More importantly, students need to feel safe to be able to collaborate and contribute their opinion. So if a certain facilitator tend to favor certain professions, because, for example, I'm a doctor and I tend to favor medical students, that will definitely create a not a very good learning environment, so that students from other professions aside from medicine may not want to contribute to the group work or the discussion. So it's very important for us as facilitators or as tutors or supervisor for the IP program to learn how we can ensure a safe environment where students can contribute their ideas and practice while also being conscious of our own professional stereotype. We may have stereotype towards other professions, and that needs to, we have to reduce that before we're going into the IPE group discussion. So overall, the challenges of IPE, this particular paper divide that into three levels: the micro, the meso, and the macro. So for the micro level, perhaps the biggest challenge would come from the faculty development, from the teachers or the tutors, how they can, again, reducing the stereotype, ensuring a safe environment, how the tutors can also believe at the value of IPE. So we cannot expect our students to learn about IPE if we ourselves as teachers don't believe on the importance of IPE. At the meso level, the champions in the institution, the leadership, because creating a curriculum for uni professional is also already very important. You can imagine how quite challenging it is for an institution to create an IPE which involve more than one profession. So in terms of the logistical, the administrative aspect, there needs to be some commitment from the top management as well. And from the macro system, the socio-cultural factors, the income gap between healthcare professions, the stereotypes is in the society regarding certain profession, the distrust between professions, which reflected perhaps on the healthcare service, that could also influence IPE. So there is this, stereotype from doctors to nurses, for example, from nurses to doctors, that also can hinder the IPE program. So maybe as take-home points for this very, very short presentation is for us to understand that future healthcare demands teamwork and team cohesion. So I guess there's nothing to be argued about this, that providing patient-centered care involves collaboration and teamwork. But one thing that we can discuss further is that nurturing collaborative skills require interprofessional education. At least that's what I believe in, and there's so many studies to confirm that. Interprofessional education needs to happen in a safe environment. Hence, it is very important, the role of teachers to be able to create that safe environment. Many problems in healthcare, many complaints from patients stem from problems in the communication, and many problems in healthcare teamwork also stems from the communication skills. So it's very important for us to be able to discuss and teach our students how to communicate between different professions. So there needs to be some opportunities for them to be immersed in a healthcare team and to be able to work together. And not only immersing them and just let them to learn by themselves, but actually really involve in the process of their learning experience by facilitating them to discuss the experience, facilitating them to have to reflect on the experience, and facilitating their debriefing process, because they will have many experience of working together with other healthcare professionals in hospitals. But if that experience are never reflected, never discussed, never debriefed, then that would only be an experience without any lessons learned or learning values. So that's why I think one of the key to the success of IPE is the skillful facilitators from the institution. So here is perhaps the last two slides about the 10 tips to facilitate interprofessional learning. So again, because my last take-home point is the importance of skillful facilitators, so I would like to bring to highlight these 10 tips to be able to become a more effective facilitator for IPE is, of course, a good preparation, early orientation to interprofessional. Us as a professional, we need to learn also about other healthcare professions, roles and responsibilities. So not only our students, but us as teachers as well, we need to understand what are the roles of other professions. We learn how to question students. We ask them to give opinion, to be able to critically think about the case and what are the contribution of each member of the team. We have to remind students that why we collaborate is only because of the patient. So what the patient needs, what is the patient problems, that will be our focus for the interprofessional learning. We have to build trust. And again, lecture wouldn't work for IPE because most of the time we will deal with a high number of students because students coming in from different professions. So we have to employ active learning methods with our students. So that's why the flipped classroom approach is much more preferable. We should be a facilitator, not a lecturer, and we should encourage peer learning. So we require them when they graduate to work together. So let's ask them and encourage them and facilitate them to learn together as well, starting from the very beginning, at the beginning of the IPE module. Let's ask them to review and reflect, and we give feedback. As always, feedback is a very powerful tool for learning, including in IPE. So it's very important for us to assess their ability to work in team, to help them to reflect and assess the reflection and giving feedback. Overall, it's very important to give feedback on whatever learning experience that students have, including the interprofessional learning. So I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm looking forward to having more interesting discussion with all of you. Thank you very much. I give back to Dr. Ati. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Dianta, for the excellent presentation. Okay, I give the floor to all participants to ask. You can write down on the chat box or you can raise your hand. Okay, it's the first question from our Dr. Abu Sufyan. With the rise of AI and digital health tools, how might technology support or challenge interprofessional collaboration?
Thank you very much, Dr. Abu Sufyan. That's a very interesting thought, which I'm not quite thinking about that too. But I agree that, I mean, AI in general will change the landscape of medical practice to some extent. I believe it wouldn't replace doctors, at least not in the near future. But many ways AI can help the diagnosis, making accurate diagnosis, and helping doctors to conduct continuing professional development, to learn more, to learn quicker, and then to learn more efficient because they can help us to summarize latest evidence, etc. So I guess if we talk about the AI, would that change the landscape of interprofessional collaborative practice? I think to some extent, yes. For example, AI could make help us to become more accurate in our diagnosis. But there are certain principles of IP which up until now, I don't think that could be replaced by AI. So maybe, and I'm imagining if the team of healthcare professions have this meeting to discuss a patient workup or patient discharge plan, that could be assisted with AI in terms of, formulating what would be the best discharge planning or therapeutic planning or a diagnostic diagnostic planning for this patient. But basically, if the IPE core is the communication, the collaboration, the leadership, and etc., I think that would still be there, and that needs to be still highlighted in terms of the discussion for the IPE. So I guess because AI is already, changing a bit of landscape of the medical and the nursing and the pharmacy practice, and that would also influence the IP. But because the core of IP is human interaction, the interprofessional interaction, interpersonal and interprofessional interaction, I don't think that would change much for now, although we don't know how AI is evolving very fast. We see now studies how AI can be mentor, can be buddies for students. Students can talk to AI and then, pour out their feelings and then reflect a case together with AI. So maybe in the future we can have some research, for example, putting AI as interprofessional partner. So if your institution don't have students from other professions, you only have like medical students, for example, maybe you can utilize AI to create this, case of interprofessional collaboration where they have to, discuss with this AI portraying a certain profession, for example. This is just coming on top of my head, but maybe that would be interesting to pursue and see how effective that would be to, nurture the interprofessional competencies and identity. Thank you, Dr. Abi Sufyan. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. It's sensible to incorporate AI in simulated setting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. The second
Thank you.
question. Thank you, Dr. Sofyan. The second question from Dr. Farsha. Could you please elaborate on assessment in IPE?
Yes.
Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pasha, for your question. So we, because we have been doing IPE for 12 years, we have gone through a bit of, transformation of the way we assess the students in the IPE module. Firstly, because we think that, okay, IPE is about teamwork, it's about skills, so you don't need, written assessment. You don't need to talk about the concept or the knowledge underlies it. You only need to see the teamwork and collaborations. But it turned out in practice, it's not very easy for us to evaluate only that or to assess only that particular part of the competency. So now we have this written assessment to assess the basic knowledge. So because there is certain body of knowledge pertaining to teamwork and collaboration. So for example, they need to differentiate between the type of conflict, the type of leadership, what kind of leadership is necessary for a certain situation, for example. So our written assessment is basically a vignette based. So we all have the vignette, the case, and then we ask, based on the vignette, certain theories about collaboration and teamwork. But that only accounts like 20 or 30% of the total score of students in IPE, because the other assessment would be, really assessing their ability to work in team, their participation in a team, and also their reflection. So we ask them to reflect based on the IPE learning experience. What do you feel? Anything new that you learn? What are your future action plan? How can you improve yourself to become a better team member, for example? So that also has the quite high proportion of the total score. For example, a reflective report that would account around like 30% of the total score. And the rest would be, the real observation from the tutors and from the peers. So we ask tutors to observe each student when they work in team, and we also ask their friend to also evaluate other friend. But of course, the tutor assessment would account for a higher weighting compared to the peer assessment. And we also evaluate their creativity in designing a community-based IPE project. So maybe we ask them to go to the society, identify the problem related to health in the society, for example, the smoking cessation or the educating on stunting, for example, whatever health problems in the community they found, and then they will work as team to create a solution to the problem, even though it's just a very short and a very short-term solution of the problem. But we've tried to encourage them to be able to in the future apply this their project, and what we assess is the outcome and also the process of the creating that community-based project. So that's how we assess the IPE program. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, thank you, Dr. Fasha.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Maybe I have a question also,
Yes,
Prof.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. we know that the key of the IPA, one of the key is to develop the interprofessional identity. So how we assess the development of the interprofessional identity, because it's quite complicated.
Yes.
right? Thank you.
Very much agree with you, Dr. Rati. Identity is unfortunately a very, you can say a very abstract concept, which is very important but very difficult to measure. So at this point, I think the best way we can assess identity is looking at their it wouldn't be a very, it wouldn't be a one shot assessment method. It needs to be a very longitudinal, and it really needs to be comprehensive. It needs to be able to see the progress of students from time to time. But the easiest way, the most feasible way, I think, is to ask them to reflect and see from the reflection how they have started to internalize the identity as an interprofessional. So now our reflection, reflection task for students, we ask them explicitly to reflect on three things: your personal aspect, your professional aspect, and your interprofessional aspect. So because we believe every person has their own, like, for example, I'm quite an introvert person, for example. I don't really feel comfortable in working together with other person. So I ask students to reflect. So what kind of personal values that you have that may hinder or enabling the interprofessional competencies. And then we ask them about their professional reflection. So as a future doctor, what do you think is your role? What do you think would be your contribution to the team? And lastly, we ask them to reflect specifically on the interprofessional value. So what do you think? How do you see yourself as a team member, for example? Do you think you can be a good team member? Why? And if you don't, then what do you need to do? So I think it really helps because usually our reflection is very, loose, so you can reflect on anything. But now we've started to like making it more structured and systematic. So you need to reflect on your personal values, your professional values, and also your interprofessional values. And one of our student in the faculty has also been developing a questionnaire, but it's self-administered, administered. So it's an instrument to measure yourself, whether you have that interprofessional identity. So it may be as a start, it's not perfect, but it could be, as a start for us to be able to, revisit our interprofessional identity by maybe from time to time filling out the instrument or the questionnaire, and then, reflect on the score of the questionnaire, if that could reflect your level of identity for a certain moment, and then, try to improve yourself again and again. So yeah, that's maybe just some proxies that we can use to sort of make this identity a more concrete and measurable concept. Dr. Rati, hope that answered
Okay.
your question.
Okay. Thank you, Prof,
You, Doc.
for your explanation. Okay. Is there any question from the participant?
Dr. Rati, there's one question from my side.
Okay.
First of all, my compliment to Dr. Dayan sir for very excellent session that you have conducted. It was truly very fruitful session. My question is, especially in Indian scenario, there is lots of resistance to have interprofessional collaboration. So, what is one boundary you believe must be broken to improve interprofessional practice?
I guess I always believe that when you want to apply interprofessional education or interprofessional collaborative practice, the approach at the same time needs to be from the bottom up, from the top down. Our experience in formulating and implementing IPE and IPC, there needs to be a champion from the bottom up. So there needs to be some staff, it doesn't have to be that many, who are very consistent in trying to apply this. But if that staff are not supported by the top management, it will never work. So from my personal experience in taking care of IPE for more than 12 years is always about the balance between ourself, in the commitment from the bottom up and with the support from the top down. Because our university are able to implement IPE for more than 12 years now, because we have a unit maybe that is designed to uh, do IPE. That unit is specifically designed to do IPE, and with support the financial logistical support from the top management. And our hospital, the vision, one of the mission of the hospital is to do collaborative professional practice, collaborative care. So that's how we match them. We have this educational institution which really support IPE, but we also have hospitals in which one of the value in the hospital is collaboration, and they starting to really try to create that interprofessional collaborative practice through their units, through their standard operational procedure, and etc. So I hope that could, really, because if you do IP in the school, but the hospitals where students learn, they don't do collaboration. So everything they learn in the school will just vanish. So we need to ensure that at one end, the hospital, they have to explicitly or trying hard to materialize collaborative practice. So that's our personal experience, Dr. Abdul Sufyan.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doc.
I think there is no question more from the participant. Okay. Thank you, Prof. Dianta, for your valuable time and insight to be shared in this event. Give applause to Prof. Dianta.
Thank you very much.
The committee provide the certificates for your participation and as a keynote speaker. Once again, thank you very much, Prof. Dianta.
So we are delighted to present the certificate of appreciation to Dr. Rati in graceful recognition of her exceptional contribution as session chair. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Pasha. Thank you, Dr. Abu Sufyan, and all the
Welcome,
committees.
welcome. You nicely chaired the session. Thank you, thank you.
And a big thank you to all our attendees of your engaging questions and participation. The feedback link is posted in the chat box. Please do fill the feedback form. So that concludes our morning session. We will connect at 2 p.m. for the afternoon parallel paper presentation sessions in track 3 and track 4. So thank you for the day.
We have kept meeting room open for some time so that you can give the feedback, and maybe after 5 minutes we'll close the meeting room.